Reproductive rights as part of human rights. Our topic is the nature of reproductive rights as part of the greater sum of human rights. In legal rights, in legal terms, human rights form the totality of the freedoms, immunities, and benefits that, according to modern values, especially at an international level, all human beings should be able to claim as a matter of right in the society in which they live. In international law, the basic document is the non-binding. Binding means you can go to court and sue the person. In international law, the basic document is the non-binding but authoritative Universal Declaration of Human Rights. But it is accompanied by two binding documents, meaning to say, if one state does not observe these rights, another state can sue it in an international tribunal. By the way, the only reason I'm interested in a post in the International Criminal Court is that I shall finally meet Muammar Gaddafi. I'm going to educate that man. The binding documents are known as the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. In national or domestic law, that is to say Philippine law, not international law, the basic document is the Philippine Constitution, particularly Article 2 on Declaration of State Policies and Article 3 on the Bill of Rights. Our Constitution, Article 2, Section 12, specifically provides, quote, the state shall protect and promote the right to health of the people and instill health consciousness among them. We're a very rare country because we have a constitutionally protected right to health. Normally, you don't find this in other constitutions. This right to health is now viewed as including the right to reproductive health. Reproductive rights constitute the totality of a person's constitutionally protected rights relating to the control of his or her procreative activities. Specifically, reproductive rights refer to the cluster of civil liberties relating to pregnancy, abortion, and sterilization, especially the personal bodily rights of a woman in her decision whether to become pregnant or to bear a child. The phrase reproductive rights includes the idea of being able to make reproductive decisions free from discrimination, coercion, or violence. Human rights scholars increasingly consider many reproductive rights to be protected by international human rights law. So when we speak of human rights, we are actually speaking of reproductive rights as part of that sum total. When we speak of Philippine internal laws and politics, we are speaking of the so-called horizontal strand of the human rights movement. But as constitutionalism spreads among states, we now speak of the so-called vertical strand of the new international law that is meant to bind states and that is implemented by the new international institutions. Filipino politicians seem to be aware only of the horizontal but not of the vertical dimension of the human rights movement. Yan kasing napala nila kasi hindi sila pumunta sa UP. Sinasabi ng may horizontal, may vertical, nakatanga pa rin. But the truly novel developments of the last half-century have involved primarily the vertical dimension. Thus, contrary to the misimpression of many of our politicians, the national debate on reproductive health is not only limited to the Constitution, but necessarily includes Philippine obligations under the legally binding obligations of the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, as well as other treaties to which the Philippines is a state party. Sinabihan na sila, we are not an archipelago universe. We're only part of a bigger planet. And among these planets are various states, and we enter into treaties with each other or contracts or agreements or whatever else might call them, covenants, declarations, proclamations, etc. But in effect, it is just like a contract between people. You have to abide by what you said in the contract. We already joined or became, to use a legal term, state parties to many of these treaties. And still Filipino politicians are discussing whether we should discuss the RH bill. We are already committed to pass an RH law by what we did many years before. These people are living in a time warp. Next time, I'm going to advocate genetically modified candidates for senator. The urgency of enforcing reproductive rights in our country was raised as early as 1993 at the Vienna World Conference, when the UN Committee on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights drew attention to